Thank you for tuning in to Nevada Justice. We are Parker Shear Lago Marcino. Born and raised in Las Vegas and with over 15 years of legal experience, attorney Andre Lago Marcino has served as counsel in a wide variety of cases. Along with attorneys Daniel M. Ryan and Elizabeth Crommelin, they make up the law firm of Parker Shear Lago Marcino. The information you obtain from the show is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. You should consult an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us at 702-731-1230 and welcome your calls. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nevada Justice.
Hello.
Today we have a very special guest. Steve Sanson is with us here today. Hello, Steve.
Hey, thank you guys for inviting me.
We really appreciate you being here. I got one of my inductions into radio was actually visiting with Steve Sanson on his Veterans in Politics show, and he has a number of shows. We'll talk about that a little later. But today we have a lot of topics. We're going to talk about, first we're going to interview Steve, and we're going to talk about some non-traditional justice. Today is actually also the 3-year anniversary of the shooting of Stanley Gibson. So we're going to be talking about that as well, and what's happened since then. With us, our hostess.
With the mostest. She is amazing. Her name, Rebecca Reyes. Rebecca, will you want to tell us what's going on today?
Of course. Before we get started, I just wanted to let anyone know that if you would like to call into the show with any questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can call in anytime throughout the show at 702-731-1230. And if you'd like to get in contact with us off the air, you can reach our firm, Parker Shear Lago Marcino, at 702-383-2864. Now, as you mentioned, Drey, today marks the 3-year anniversary of Stanley Gibson's shooting. Stanley Gibson was a veteran, a husband, a brother, a son, and, tragically, a victim of the Metropolitan Police Department. The deadly officer-involved shooting happened in the early morning hours of December 12, 2011, at the Alondra condominiums, after reports of an attempted burglary. When the suspect vehicle, described to the police, a white Cadillac, reappeared at the complex, officers blocked it in and realized it belonged to Stanley Gibson. Police said Stanley Gibson refused commands to get out of his vehicle. A faulty police plan to get Stanley out of his vehicle led to the shooting. Officer Jesus Arevalo mistakenly thought he was being shot at and returned fire. He fired 7 shots from his rifle into the Cadillac, killing Stanley Gibson, who suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. Stanley Gibson was unarmed. A year later, Rhonda Gibson filed in federal court her civil rights lawsuit against Metro, and Stanley Gibson's mother, Celestine Gibson, filed a separate federal lawsuit. Both lawsuits settled, but the Gibson family is still left and suffers. Andre, you represented Celestine in her lawsuit, so you experienced firsthand the tragedy that they were experiencing.
Well, yes, as an attorney, you never fully experienced a traumatic event like your clients do. Obviously, Rhonda Gibson, Celeste Gibson, the entire Gibson family, to lose your loved one, somebody who's very close to your husband, your son, your brother, in a way that Stanley was killed is traumatic for everyone. As Celeste has said in the past, they didn't just kill him, they killed everyone along with him. So people are left here living life. Obviously, Stanley Gibson was killed for no reason by Jesus Arevalo, and as a result of decades of misconduct with the police department, and it's tragic. I got to know the Gibson family very well, and I actually got to know Rhonda as well. I did not represent Rhonda, but I represented the Gibson family, Celeste particularly, in the case against Metro, and Rhonda's case settled after her lawsuit. Our case settled a little later, so we were able to do a lot of discovery in the case. We took the deposition of the sheriff, pretty much everybody involved at the scene, and let me tell you, anything that we thought was there was reinforced through these depositions. It was just something that should not have occurred, and what a very terrible incident, and really a stain on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and the city of Las Vegas as a whole. I mean, Stanley Gibson, Gulf War veteran, had some emotional, some mental health issues that he was dealing with, and as well as his family. But in no way did he deserve to meet the fate that he met, and it is not lost on us at Parker Shear this day, and the entire situation. So, one of the ways I was introduced to our guest today, Mr. Sanson, was he was actually quoted on a number of local news outlets. I think you were at the funeral, correct?
Correct.
Steve? Yeah. And he had said that he wasn't sure if Jesus Arevalo was a veteran, but he probably thought that he wasn't, because he would not have so recklessly shot that gun the way he did. So, what are your thoughts on today's anniversary?
Well, there's a number of things that transpired since the settlement. For one, I don't know if you know, Andre, Stars and Stripes, which is the number one military newspaper that only prints hard copies throughout all their military installations across the world. There is no hard copy in the United States. You can only find it online. But they did a huge story, 3 pages, on the Stanley Gibson shooting.
I didn't know that.
Matter of fact, I got a copy in the car.
Yeah.
Not only that took place, there's a documentary being filmed right now. It's been they started about a year ago, and matter of fact, the person that's doing the documentary was at the gravesite today up in Boulder City, and we were up in Boulder City. It was me, Rhonda, and a gentleman named Ramsey Denson. He's the one that's filming the documentary on Stanley Gibson and police shooting overall. So, plus we also did a commercial. We recorded a commercial yesterday. Matter of fact, it was all in Rhonda's voice about police shooting and police misconduct and stuff of that nature. But there's a lot of stuff that took place because of the results of the Stanley Gibson shooting. In Nevada, there is a veteran on the driver's license now. Mm-hmm. So when a police officer pulls over a vehicle, he'll see the veteran on their driver's license, and he could ask a series of questions. One, you would think, thank you for your service should be the number one question.
Sure, yeah.
And the next, try to find a little bit about the individual he just stopped. Did you serve, in combat, and what branch of service? So if there's a situation that took place, they could de-escalate. But, I've talked to Joe Lombardo and Kevin McAllister, who is the current undersheriff of Metro, and it seems like they have done a lot of things to try to de-escalate situations and police shootings. But I think there's more that needs to be done. And we're trying to get that bill in this session
right
up in the legislators, see if that would help as well.
How did you meet Rhonda?
Well, several years back, Stanley was one of our members. He was an active member. Didn't really know him too well. Mm-hmm. And the only way I found it out is I looked at my membership chart going back a few years, and that's how I kind of remembered. But I brought her here. We were on the Veterans in Politics talk show back in January of 2012, and interviewed her, and I believe Fox 5 or 8 News Now came in and recorded the whole thing. But that's how I first met her. But I remember a couple weeks after the shooting of Gibson, I was on Channel 13 asking for the sheriff's resignation. Because, it was just one too many shootings that took place just recklessly. I mean, the Trevon Cole shooting.
Right.
I mean, that one was buried by the Eric Scott shooting.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it was just one too many shootings, Andre, that, especially a veteran, you got men and women that serve our country and come out of combat. People that would get a medal to kill you, they come out of combat and to return to their own country that they defended, to be killed by a police officer that's supposed to serve and protect. I mean, it just sounds crazy, But
yeah, you can't believe it. You really, really can't believe it. We watched some of the footage of those days, and let me tell you, really, our thoughts are with the families, because lawsuits go away, the memory doesn't, and the trauma fades away a lot slower than the memory of the lawsuit. So our thoughts with the family. But that's really how I got to know Steve. Was able to appear on his show, and he is. We are definitely like-minded when it comes to police misconduct, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you on that.
And you know something, Andre, it was a big domino effect, the Stanley Gibson case, at least for the veterans in politics, because we were really adamant about the More Cops bill dying.
Right. Yeah, tell us about that. For those of our listeners who
the
don't
More
have
Cops
that much
bill,
of a short-term memory.
Well, the More Cops bill was going to increase sales tax. And when you increase sales tax, you increase sales taxes on everybody, because everybody has to buy goods, no matter what the goods might be.
Correct.
So sales taxes on everything. So everybody would have had to pay for them to hire more police officers. But after we did our research and look at the finances, the Metropolitan Police Department has a whole history of wasteful spending. I mean, if you give somebody $1,000 a week for the rest of their life, they're going to spend it recklessly. They're going to buy stuff they don't need. They're going to, I'm going to get more. But if they had to go and work for that, and they absolutely had bills they have to pay, and their bills come almost up to that $1,000, they're going to be more frugal. Mm-hmm. They're going to spend it a lot more wisely. So the point saying is that the Metropolitan Police Department was getting way too much money from taxpayers, and they were spending the money recklessly. And we found out about that, and I know myself testified against that bill in front of the legislator 3 times up in Carson City. And while about 30 cops behind me with their weapons.
Yeah.
With their weapons. And I'm talking chiefs from North Las Vegas, Mesquite, and including Gillespie. But and then we made calls to the legislators explaining if they knew about this, they knew about that, and they ultimately didn't want to take that responsibility, and they passed the vote down to the county commissioners. And we did the same thing with them, and you saw the results.
Yep.
And now they want to bring it back, but but the fight for us on the More Cops bill, as far as veterans in politics is concerned, is over, because we did what we needed to do, and that was to make sure that Doug Gillespie didn't see that money while he was sheriff, and he's not going to. So the mission has been accomplished.
No, you guys were successful in defeating it, for sure.
So
now, we have a little more information about Steve Sanson here.
Uh-oh.
Steve Sanson served in the United States Marine Corps from 1985 to 1991. He served in the Far East, Middle East, and Central America. He also served in both Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm. Mr. Sanson is a current member of the Marine Corps League in Las Vegas and elected chaplain, and is also a current member of the Veteran of Foreign Wars in Henderson and chaplain. Mr. Sanson is a member of the Republican Party, and in 2009, 2003, wrote a book entitled How to Collect on Your Bad Debt Accounts in Clark County, Nevada, to help the community in dealing with their bad debt accounts by simplifying small claims court procedures. In 2005, Steve Sanson was a candidate for the Las Vegas City Council Ward 6 election. In 2012, Mr. Sanson was named Veteran of the Month by Governor Brian Sandoval. Steve Sanson feels that veterans should be more involved in their government, and he hopes to be an inspiration to soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and veterans.
You've been snooping around?
Just a little. Mr. Sanson, as we said today, this is the 3-year anniversary. We know that you had a lot of involvement in the Gibson matter. Now, you've described yourself as determined, disciplined, and ambitious. Where do you feel like you get those traits from?
You know what? I had a very hard upbringing. My mother was very strict. So going through a Marine Corps boot camp was easier than living in my household. How does that grab you?
Sounds like my dad.
So.
Do you feel like it's also from the Marines as well?
Absolutely. You know, the Marine Corps has instilled upon us discipline, the ability to think on our feet, and you know, and I think I could speak for a lot of combat veterans. When we go into combat, it's a different breed. I don't think we have that much consciousness when we go in there, as far as being able to second guess yourself. Yeah. You know.
Well, I think it's about 4:20 in the city in Vegas, and it's a good time for a break. So we'll see you when we come back.
Here in the Las Vegas Valley, Parker Shear Lago Marcino is dedicated to giving each of our law firm's clients the individual attention they each deserve. Parker Shear Lago Marcino handles a wide variety of cases for individuals and businesses. The firm prides itself on providing ethical representation and strong advocacy in and out of court. Our team of experienced lawyers and paralegals work hard daily to ensure the firm's clients get the best possible results. Clients can reach the firm at 702-383-2864, 702-383-2864, or at radio at parkershear, PARKERSCHEER.com.
This Tuesday night at 8, join host Steve Sanson for Eye on Nevada Politics, a look at the issues, policies, and candidates that affect all of us. Eye on Nevada Politics is a nonpartisan forum that will enlighten, inform, and entertain. Steve Sanson is the president of Veterans in Politics International and has been a mover and shaker in Nevada for over 15 years. It's Eye on Nevada Politics, a KLAV exclusive, this Tuesday night at 8.
Hi, this is attorney Andre Lago Marcino, partner at Parker Shear Lago Marcino Law Offices. Nevada has a rich legal history dating back to our inception as a battle-born state during the Civil War. Please tune in to our radio show, Nevada Justice, Fridays at 4 o'clock p.m., where we will discuss this history, both past, present, and future. Our goal is to inform the Las Vegas community of their legal rights and to hear any questions or concerns from the public. So please tune in to Nevada Justice, Fridays at 4 o'clock p.m. Welcome back, everybody. Nevada Justice. Here we are in the city. Today's date, December 12th, 2014, and 421. With us today, Steve Sanson, looking dapper as usual. It is a very rainy day in the city. It took us a little bit to get over here to West Sahara, but we're happy to be here. And Steve, actually, why don't you tell us who you have? You have a special guest of your own here today.
Yes, my little 6-year-old.
Yeah?
We call her Faith
Yeah?
because that's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 3 grown kids, 28, 26, 23. In fact, today's my daughter's birthday on the killing of Stanley Gibson, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, she turns 23 today.
Yeah.
And I thought I was done, I was going to go to Jamaica, put my feet in some clear water, sit on some white sandy beach, have people feed me mangoes. And
Surprise.
Surprise. So, I had to rethink that whole go to Jamaica.
Can we interview Faith a little bit? I want to hear.
I don't know if she's gonna
Oh,
she's shaking her head.
she's like,
shaking her head.
no, Dad.
Faith, is your daddy strict?
Fate has met almost every elected official, in the state.
Wow.
Yeah. Matter of fact, when she was 11 months old, we were over at the Thunderbird hangar at Nellis Air Force Base, and she was the only individual there that was under the age of 18. And the President of the United States, Barack Obama, came up to me and asked me if he could hold her. So there's several photos going around with the president holding her. And
awesome.
who am I to deny her from making history, right?
Right.
I mean, when
You did good.
when I met a president of the United States, I think I was in my late 30s. And he was not holding me.
No.
He was standing next to me.
I hope not.
But how many people could say the president of the United States held me?
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
And she wasn't even a year old then.
Despite the fact that you are a strict, staunch Republican, you allowed her to be photographed with the president.
Now, I have to say this, Andre Lagomarsino.
Okay.
And I love that name, Lagomarsino, by the way. It kind of rolls off your tongue.
It does.
Try answering the phone and saying it.
But I live with a Democrat. Mm-hmm. You've met her, right? Have you met her?
I'm not sure.
I call her tree hugger, tax and spend liberal. But anyways,
Isn't that what all Republicans call Democrats? Pretty much.
But since I've been living with her, my eyes open up a little bit differently, and there's certain things that I would be geared more on the Democrat side than I would a Republican. For example, I don't know if you want to get into
Such
all this.
as
Okay.
We're intrigued.
For example, same-sex marriage.
right.
I don't care who you marry. You marry whoever you want. That's not going to affect me any.
Yeah.
And the Republican principal platform is less government, right?
Right.
Less government, stay out of my bedroom, right?
Right.
If you want to fall in love with the same sex, that's your thing.
Yeah.
You go do it. I always say this, I said, if 2 men fall in love, more women for me is how
That's right.
is how
That's
I
a
think.
good one.
and abortion, and people might be really touchy on this, and it's always a touchy subject when you talk about abortion. But you know what? It's your body, it's your guilt, it's your family, it's your God, it's your whatever. I don't think that government should be involved in something that took place in your bedroom, in something that's going to be a life-changing thing for you. Now, if you, Rebecca, decides to get an abortion, how is that going to affect me?
You're right.
Right.
Really? How is that going to affect me? You're the one that's going to have to clothe it, educate it, and I call it because we don't know what it is.
Right.
and do all that stuff. Love it, whatever. You're the one that's going to put in all the time, energy, money, whatever. And some people say, well, adopt. Well, there's also an emotional issue that goes along with that, because now you're wondering, where's that child? Did I do the right thing by giving that child away? I'll never know who. And you're going to always have that inside of you. But whatever you do with your body and whoever you love is none of my business, and it shouldn't be anything to do with government at all. And that's just how I think about it. Now, a few years back, I was totally against those two.
Sure.
But now I am. I guess I'm getting older. I'm getting wiser. I'm looking at things with more of a gray than a black and white issue.
Right.
But seriously, what you do with your body, how's that going to affect me?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's not going to raise my taxes either.
Right.
But when it comes to taxes, I am so on Republican.
Right side Romney.
So on Republican. Because my
yeah.
philosophy is, before you tell me you need money, I'm going to do an audit on your entire department to find out where I could cut spending,
Right.
where you've been wasting money. And then after I show you where you waste money, maybe we don't need to raise taxes to support whatever you're doing.
I'm with you. I hear you, Steve. I hear you.
Steve, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you think are the biggest problems veterans are facing in our community? I know.
Really?
Just wondering.
What's the biggest problem?
Yeah.
Well, mental illness.
Makes sense.
Mental illness is huge.
Do you feel like there's not enough help for
No,
that?
no. But the way the VA system is set up, as far as taking care of our veterans, they give bonuses if they turn you down when you try to claim a service-connected disability. So whoever's working for the VA will get a bonus if they get to turn down folks, and that's sad. And if I was an administrator trying to find out why this veteran should get denied, I shouldn't get a bonus for that. These are men and women that fought for the right for us to be free. Why should we want to do anything to disenfranchise them at all? But mental illness is a huge issue, and there's a lot of veterans that served in combat, and we could go all the way back to the Korean War, because there's some Korean War veterans still living, and they got a whole slew of issue when it comes to mental illness, because they didn't lose a limb, and because you don't see scars, that doesn't mean there's something bad going on. And when it comes to post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm 100% on board with this medical marijuana thing. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday at Judge Leon and Judge Martin Hastings' event downtown Fremont, and he is a component of marijuana, and he's got a license to have a dispensary of marijuana, and he goes, Steve, you'd be surprised on now how many people is on board with this marijuana, and I'm a blunt individual, so I said, you know what, I've been hearing the Democrats talk about marijuana for years, why we need it, because it's a medicine, especially the cannabis oil. It helps prevent these diseases and sicknesses, and it's good for post-traumatic stress disorder, which is mental illness. And I said the Democrat wanted this marijuana initiative passed because they wanted to help folks. I said the Republicans are coming on board with this. Now we want this marijuana thing because they see dollar signs, and it's sad. And I could say that freely because I've seen it firsthand. It's about money, and when I do things, I don't do it because it's about money. I do it because it's the right thing to do. And so many people don't have that mindset. Now, going back to the mental illness for veterans, if a veteran is diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, that veteran cannot carry a concealed weapon. He loses right to carry a concealed weapon. And a lot of veterans don't want to lose that right to carry a concealed weapon because they lived around weapons, they grew up around weapons, the whole military experience was around weapons, and a lot of veterans feel naked if they don't have one. So they're not going to put themselves in a situation that they're going to go and seek counseling for post-traumatic stress disorder because they know there's a great chance if they have a concealed weapons permit, they're going to lose it. And they don't want to lose their right to bear arms. I mean, that's part of their freedom.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So mental illness I believe, is the number one issue.
I have a question. What was the triggering event for you that told you, hey, I'm going to start an organization that's going to be an advocate for veterans? What happened there?
That's a good question.
Andre, when I came back from the Gulf War, I was a totally different person than I am today. Road rage was one of my number one things to do. I mean, road rage that I even get out of my car and go beat you up. That kind of road rage. Not I'm going to follow you a couple miles and exit. No, I couldn't even walk into a club without getting into a physical confrontation.
Now, that sounds like some of those minivan moms that I see on the news some of these days. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
How I dealt with my post-traumatic stress disorder was through violence, was through alcohol, and believe it or not, sex. Because sex takes you away. Even depends on the guy, it could be 30 seconds or it could be 2 hours. But sex takes you away from bad memories. And a lot of veterans, and some of them don't want to say it, they use sex as a bandage to get away from their memories. What I do now, how I kind of take what some say that I have, which is PTSD, I kind of put it into politics. And I take my anger, my frustration, my bad memories, and I put it in a direction into politics. That's why when I go after these folks, district attorneys, judges, sheriffs, it doesn't matter to me because there's no fear for me because the fear is gone. And when I focus on an individual, I just don't stop until I have exhausted every avenue needed to make sure that individual is off the bench or is not elected anymore. Mm-hmm. And I do this, and I put the information out to the voters so they'll know. And then at the end of the day, Rebecca, I could say, I have tried everything to educate you on this particular candidate or incumbent, and you have chose to look the other way. So whatever you get is on you. Because we went after 4 family court judges, and we got rid of 2. Well, with the help of everybody else involved, we got rid of 2. And 2 remains. So it's on the voter.
Yep.
So I don't want no voter to come and say, well, this family court judge is doing. I'm like, no, we told you. You voted for that person. It's on you,
Now, I know a lot of people would see you as like a controversial figure. Just a little. Have you faced any kind of negative repercussions from being so involved or outspoken?
What do you mean by negative repercussions? Like a reporter writing a hit piece on me?
Maybe something along those lines. Yeah, sure.
Anything, really.
Yeah. Anything that you felt was being done negatively to you because of the fact that you do speak up and you do put yourself out there.
I could tell you this. I've been threatened on the phone, through emails, but nobody's never done it to my face.
Just media stuff, really.
Yeah, they a lot of people, they hide behind technology, which I'm a more of an old-fashioned type of guy. Not meaning I'm old, but I like to meet my adversary personally than to deal with somebody over the phone, because everybody gets brave over the phone, no matter who you are. You get brave over the phone because that's just human nature. But when you actually have an individual in front of you, then it's a whole different story. But I think the negative stuff that took place is that the hit pieces reporters do to try to damage my organization. And you could talk about me all you want. I really don't care. I know who I am. I'm comfortable in my skin. I got to live with me. But to attack my organization that's made up of men and women that want to do the right thing for a country, that kind of pisses me off. I mean, ask Glenn Cook and John Ralston, they could tell you.
What are your thoughts on Ralston's show going off the air at Channel 3?
You know what? I think John Ralston, I call him an entertainment journalist. You know, I think John Ralston is bought and paid for. That's just how he rolls. I don't think he's doing things for the right thing. I think he's doing it because it gets ratings. I've taken on situations on that are very unpopular with people, you know, and eventually we come out on top. But if it's not unpopular with Ralston, he won't. I mean, if it's not popular with Ralston, he won't do it. And now that his show ends today, by the way, on Stanley Gibson's demise, today's his last show. Channel 3 doesn't want anything else to do with him. That's great. But, you know, I think every dog has its day. And some come earlier than others, but they all come. You know.
Well, I have a difference of opinion with you there, Steve. I have actually been on Ralston's show before. And yes, I mean, the name of the game in TV, right, is to have something interesting that the people want to watch. And I've been reading the comments online, and boy, there are a lot of people that just love to see him go down. But let me ask you this from a different standpoint. So I think you would agree that Ralston, probably in your opinion, is a little bit more left, a little more Democrat, has a little more of that kind of an agenda. And you probably have a lot different of agenda than him. But what about the importance of just raising the issues for discussion, regardless of whether he injects his opinion or not? I mean, and you do with yourself as well. Don't you feel like with him off the air, there's a little bit of a vacancy out there about discussion of important issues such as those that are discussed on his show?
There's no different than what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, the Veterans in Politics, our show has been on since 2005. Granted, we don't have a TV camera in front of us and a nice, cushy studio with people to do your research for you and write the nice pieces and make it make sense and put it in that nice English language. But I think we do a good job.
Yeah.
Since 2005, we have been exposing individuals. When Harry Reid said the war was lost, while folks were still sending their sons and daughters off to a war, a U.S. senator went on the floor and saying the war is lost, is disheartening. And we did a hit piece on him. We ran commercials on him for a month. And as a result for that, you're talking about negative stuff. I heard that he did a full-blown background check on me. You know, I guess he wanted to know who he was dealing with. But I think for the most part, with the Ralston program off the air, the voters, people in the know, would pay more attention to other groups that are trying to expose and do the right thing, such as the Veterans in Politics. And you're right, Ralston is way more Democrat. And we try to stay
nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan.
Yeah, you guys are nonpartisan.
And we go after, it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Independent American, Libertarians. If you're corrupt or we find something that the voters need to know about it, we'll expose it. When Governor Sandoval was running for governor with Jim Gibbons against Jim Gibbons in the race, I went up to Sandoval and I called him an opportunist, which I believe he was. He probably still is. And the reason I say that is because, and this was right to his face, by the way, okay? Who leaves a $170,000 federal lifetime appointment job that you can't get fired from. You don't have to worry about running any race. That it would have been $200,000 after the first tour of governor was over to run for governor. Who does that? You know? Is he that patriotic? He didn't wear the uniform, so I don't think so. You know, not as much as I would give more credence and respect to a person that put the uniform on and served into battle and get shot at
Right.
than somebody that said, well, I'm patriotic because I'm sitting in a nice cushy office wearing a suit and tie making decisions for voters. That's a huge difference.
Sure.
You know? But, and then we hear that he was going to go on the, he endorsed a somebody that was running for president. I forgot who it was, right out the gate. I mean, what governor would want to endorse a presidential candidate right out the gate unless there wasn't something through the back door for him? And then the Romney campaign was thinking about making him a VP selection at one point. You know, so when people do things, I would rather them do it because out of the goodness of their heart, because they want to better people's lives, than doing it just climb up the ladder so they could better their own lives and make their own political career look better on a resume, you know, and that's just how I feel, you know, because me doing this, I get paid absolutely nothing. There is no paycheck, but I've been offered jobs doing a whole bunch of other stuff that I turned down. For example, Judge-elect Scotty offered me a marshal's position. I turned it down. That's just not me. I don't want to be tied up in a courtroom and unable to do what I enjoy doing, is to inform voters about elected officials, that they're paying taxes for them to be there. And especially these elected officials that have the sense of entitlement. That's disgusting. You're a public servant. Act as such. You know? That's what we did when we were in the military. We were a public servant, and we acted in that way. So we expect them to do the same.
Now, we were talking a little bit about your show. Can you tell us who would be your favorite guest and your least favorite guest that you've had on? I know it's hard to choose.
Well, you know, the way I think about a favorite guest is not somebody that I like and I want to go hang out with. My favorite guest would be somebody that I got to. That would be my favorite guest. And I'll tell you this. Years ago, when we used to be on All Talk Radio, there was a constable by the name of Bobby Grunauer. And I think that would probably be my favorite guest because we pull stuff from him. We put him on the defensive. And some of the things that we talked about was illegal immigration, by the way. And we found out things about him that would make him want to be more for the illegal immigration process than anything else. So I think that, and I don't want to get really much too into it. I think we did that while he was running for sheriff, so he knows what I'm talking about. But I think that would probably be my favorite guest. My least favorite guest, and Judge Villani, please forgive me because you got better, would be Judge Villani. Because Judge Villani came on the show one time and he wouldn't want to talk about anything. He goes, that might be before me. That is before me. I think that might be before me. Could we just talk about our family? I mean, my family. And I'm like, this wasn't no hug 'em and kiss 'em show. This was, you know, I'm trying to inform voters how a particular individual thinks and why a particular individual ruled in certain areas. And he wasn't giving me any meat and potatoes for my show. It was just it was a howdy doody show. You want to. So, but Judge Villani did get better. He got better, but when he first came on,
Not too good.
I was bored.
How do you? I mean, you've been on the air since 2005. I mean, so many hours on the air. How do you fill that airtime? How do you prepare for it? How do you
Find content for all
Right.
of that.
Well, I'll tell you this, and Lawrence could attest to this. because we've been doing the Eye of Nevada Politics right here, and I've been sitting right here since August of 2013 doing that show, which comes on Tuesday night. I have no notes. Not one note in front of me. The only thing I have in front of me is the guest's name. That's it. No notes. I prepared. You know, after you've been doing it for so long, it's just like brushing your teeth, so to speak. And I know a lot about my guests before they even come on the show. And if I want to refresh, I'll just Google them or whatever, or I'll because we have some investigators that work for us, and I'll just look at some stuff and I'll bring some stuff up. But I don't have notes in front of me. So when these guests come on, or before they come on, they say to me, "Hey, what kind of questions are you going to ask me?" I don't know. I really don't know until I sit here and they're in front of me and the music is playing and the show is going. I don't know what type of questions I'm going to ask. And that's the God honest truth. I really don't know.
Does that ever get nerve-wracking?
For me?
Uh-huh.
No, for them, yeah. Because I become unpredictable. They don't know what I'm going to ask. I could ask anything. And they don't know what I found out on them, because we do find out some stuff.
Well, I found out that you like to call yourself Devil Dog. Can you explain that a little bit for me?
Well, Devil Dog, and I use this on the ballot too.
Yeah,
In fact, there's only two people still call me Devil Dog. Former Mayor Oscar Goodman and Clark County District Court Judge Abby Silver. They're the only two people that still call me Devil Dog. And Devil Dog is a Marine Corps nickname that was given through the Battle of Belleau Woods, in the World War II. And I believe I'm quoting that correctly because it's been a long time since I looked that up. But Devil Dog is a nickname belongs to all Marines. I just enhanced it when I ran for city council back in was it 4 or 5?
4.
5. Yeah, that's all I did with it. And they were trying for me not to put it on the ballot, and I kind of overruled them and got them.
Went with it anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of people go, "Don't use Devil Dog because you're gonna offend all the Christians." They're not gonna like that word devil, and they who's gonna want to vote for a devil dog? No way. But I use it anyway, and I don't think I was really. I wanted to become a city councilman back then, but I knew that out of a slew of a dozen folks, I knew that my chances wasn't very good. So,
anything coming up for you in the future as far as politics go?
Just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
We have several bills up in Carson City this session, so we plan to go up there and make sure that they're passed. And one of it is to make sure that service-connected disability benefits not used as alimony in a family court proceeding. We were supposed to, some of us are supposed to go to Washington, D.C. because our candidate for Congress for the American Samoa, she beat out the incumbent, and we were invited to go up there and see her sworn in. So, but I don't think I'm going to make that trip, although The Rock is supposed to be there. I really
Dwayne, love Dwayne. He's the best.
That's reason enough to go, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now, I know that you believe strongly in being involved in the government. Do you have any legal education or background?
I did several years at Saddleback College in general law. Did I graduate? No. Because I left and came here. But I had a collection company for several years, and I used to do small claims cases in front of referees, and then we did the formal objection in front of Justice of the Peace. I used to be a instructor for National Business Institute, and I was teaching small claims court collection law, and I don't have a law degree. Right. And they all knew I wasn't a lawyer, so it's not like I was perpetrating or anything like that. And I taught one session over at a satellite office for back then it was the Community College of Southern Nevada.
Oh, yeah.
And I was teaching small claims court there. And would you believe it that most of my pupils were lawyers? Because they didn't teach small claims court in law school. Isn't that right, Andre?
I didn't take that class.
See?
Yes, yeah.
They don't teach small claims court in law school, so they were in my class trying to learn about small claims court, because small claims court is a different animal.
As we mentioned in your introduction, you are the chaplain for the Veteran of Foreign Wars as well as for the Marine Corps League. What exactly are your duties as chaplain?
Correction. I was the chaplain.
Can you tell us a bit about what you did?
I'm no longer the chaplain for the VFW. It was Post 3848 up in Henderson. And the Marine Corps League Detachment 186 down here in Las Vegas off of Spring and Arville. I haven't been the chaplain in years. So, am I reckless? No. But anyways, the duties of the chaplain is to provide services, open the meetings for the membership, go visit the sick and disabled, comfort families, stuff like that. Those were the duties for the chaplain. Matter of fact, I'm still called upon at the Las Vegas City Council chambers to do the invocation. So I do that. I do that a lot. But the other duties I don't mess with.
Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our hour, Steve. We had
Is this just an hour?
We had so much
program
more.
Is this?
I know we had so much more content for you, but and then some clips. But it looks like we're gonna have to postpone that till next week. Tonight we are headed to a play for Max Lardent, our co-host, who wasn't able to make it here today. But Dick Johnson, A Christmas Carol, is today at the Onyx Theater at 8 o'clock. We'll be headed over there.
Yes.
And be careful out there driving, everybody. We appreciate all of our listeners. And Steve Sanson, of course, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate Faith. You're one of your radio appearances. You're a veteran, I can tell.
And could I say one thing, Andre
Yes.
Lagomarsino?
Yeah.
You should get involved and run for something.
Never.
You'd be great.
I would never. I can't even run a mile. I'm not going to run for
I'd
office.
vote for you, Drey.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. See
Thank you
next
for
week.
having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Way out in the land of the setting sun, where the wind blows wild and free, there's a lovely spot, just the only one that means home sweet home to me. If you follow the old Kit Carson Trail until desert meets the hills, oh, you certainly will agree with me. It's a place of 1,000 thrills. Home means Nevada, home means the hills, home means the sage and the pines. Out by the Truckee, silvery rills, out where the sun always shines.